What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Game Time Podcast. We've got a post draft episode coming for you guys today. It was an eventful NBA draft, to say the least. I am pulling up all the NBA trades actually on my phone real quick. But we got all the picks. We're going to go over our winners and losers, and we're also going to go over some of the trades and just kind of talk about what we liked out of this draft, what we maybe didn't like from some teams in decision making. It's me and Daryl here today covering the post draft. Daryl, if the quality on Daryl drops a little bit, folks, he's in Mississippi. He does a lot of traveling. There's times he's recording and it's looked fine while he's traveling, and other times it just, stuff happens. But
Yeah.
Daryl was not going to miss the post draft episode. We've been waiting on this episode for a while. So it's good that we are getting to record it right here, right now. Daryl, give me your overall thoughts on the draft, and just kind of what you like from certain teams, and then obviously we'll get into our winners and losers, and obviously the big one probably being Ace Bailey going to Utah, and then Phoenix drafting a big, and then 2 minutes later trading for a big that we had a heated discussion about a couple months ago. So give me your overall
Yeah,
thoughts on the draft.
you said it, man. Ace Bailey, right? In my humble opinion, I know that we all love Cooper Flag. I get it. He has the right to be loved by all of us. But man, I'm gonna tell you, I think that Ace Bailey has an opportunity to be the top player in this draft in the next over the next 10 years. So in 10 years, I think that we will be seeing Ace Bailey as the guy who shunned Philadelphia, who shunned Utah, who shunned these other teams, and said, "Man, can you imagine what we were saying about him 10 years ago? He's a seven-time All-Star, three-time All NBA player, and year in year out is the guy that's going in and making a difference. I just believe that Ace Bailey, again, I didn't see him play 60 games in college and all this wonderful stuff, but I just think what I saw in him and playing obviously at Rutgers, playing against good talent, and then seeing his confidence and saying, "I don't want you to pick me," knowing that he probably wasn't the top player, or the second player that's going to be picked. I felt like that had, he along with his team had a lot of courage to do that. And the thing about what I loved is he said, "I understand I'm going to lose some money. I'm okay with that. I'd rather be at a better place for me than have the money, in which I'm going to lose out on maybe 20, $30 million going from maybe pick number three to pick number six or seven. We want to go on number four. I mean, number five, excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Ace Bailey is my surprise, and he's the guy I'm gonna be watching a whole lot of, over this next few seasons to see how he develops as a player.
Yeah, and like I said, folks, Daryl's connection, it's going to fluctuate a little bit, but as long as the audio's good, that's all that really matters. We're not expecting you to watch our faces talk, just kind of listen to the pod as you're doing something. But no, Daryl, I would agree with you, but I'm going to go the opposite way here. I give credit to Danny Ainge, right, for not really caring what Ace Bailey did in the pre-draft process, because I think his camp said he didn't want to go to Utah. But I think Danny Ainge did the right thing, ignoring all that and drafting Ace Bailey. And I think, I said it, even if they don't take Bailey, I think Utah's going to win the lottery next year and get AJ DeBonta. He's played at BYU. There's been a lot of talk about that. Maybe Utah had a interference in him committing to BYU so they can get him in the draft. Whatever the conspiracies I want to throw at the NBA for that, but I like what Utah did, getting Ace Bailey, not letting Washington get him. Utah's definitely one of my winners in this draft. I also got to give a big nod to Phoenix, right? They made a big trade, not only for Mark Williams, but also for, I had his name ready, but I can't get it right tonight. Kaman Malowech. I think that's how you say it, if I'm pretty sure. But drafting
That's close
him,
enough.
yeah, Daryl, I know we talked about him and you said, I don't know how well he'll translate. I think he's really explosive. I really like him as a player. And now he doesn't have to start. He can come off the bench, learn from Mark Williams. I did make a tweet about Phoenix today. And I did say, I mean, it's interesting how Phoenix has they've traded a lot of picks away. They've done a lot. But I said I don't think Mark Williams won't play more than 30 to 40 games. Who's going to be the point guard of this team? Will they dump Bradley Beal? It's a reality TV show down in Phoenix, but I'm going to give credit where it's due. I think they are one of my winners of the NBA draft. When you can draft your future center and have a current day center to play next to Devin Booker and Jalen Green. I think it will work out in Phoenix at some point, but I think this season, I think Suns fans have a reason to be optimistic about the future, but not this upcoming season. Like I said, let's see how they build out the roster. Obviously, I've given them a lot of crap. I did in the KD trade video, but they could definitely make some things shake, especially if they can get rid of Bradley Beal. This would be a great offseason turnaround for them, right? You trade KD, but then you're able to get Beal off your books, and you can figure out what you want to do with Green and Booker. Obviously, move Green to small forward or put him at point, whatever you want to do. But this could be a really easy turnaround for Phoenix if they can get Beal off of their books. I think that's the big thing tonight. I want to go to one of my losers before I let you talk about one of your winners. My biggest
Yeah.
loser tonight is actually the Brooklyn Nets, right? And it's not because they didn't trade any of their picks. It's for the fact that they drafted three guards. I think two of them can't shoot the ball well. And I don't even remember their last two picks except for the Danny Wolf pick because there was a really emotional moment during the draft with Wolf and his family. But other than that, Phoenix bombed this draft tonight. It's like when Philadelphia had three centers and Noel, Okafor, and Embiid. You took three guards, and you've got D'Lo on the roster. Granted, he's a free agent, and you got Cam Thomas, who you're about to pay a bunch of money to. It seems like so just an interesting choice by Brooklyn management to draft three guards, and instead of filling out this roster, and maybe you got five picks, maybe you do a point guard, a shooting guard, a small, maybe you do that, but no, you completely butcher this. I feel like tonight. Um, I was gonna put New Orleans ahead of them as my biggest losers, but I think I'm gonna give it to Brooklyn. The more I've thought about it today, I don't know how Brooklyn messed this up. You got five picks. You could have taken the Houston and OKC route where you draft, cut off the fat, keep the best players, and you build a contender. It feels like they butchered it right out of the gate. Brooklyn does what they always do.
Well, it's the New Jersey Nets, like I said. I'll never call them the Brooklyn Nets. They're always going to be the New Jersey Nets, in my opinion. And as I said to you last night when we were messaging back and forth, I said there's no way they keep more than three out of those five. I said they've got to trade those picks. I said so they can add some capital down the road. And I'm not saying that these young men won't turn into players. I don't know if they will or won't. But for you, in the spots where you were drafted, you got to try and parlay that into a number one pick some other time, right? You can't blow your wad in one draft. And to that point, I think Cam's gone anyway. I think they're going to find a way to trade Cam. Cam's going to be gone. I don't believe that he's going to be there for that. You got five rookies, and you got a team in influx. And again, they tanked last year. There's no reason to think they won't try and tank again this year. So I don't think Cam will be there next year. I think there's an opportunity for him to go out west. Maybe a Lakers deal. I'm not saying that they need him. But he's a talent, and the Lakers need an influx of talent. They don't need just a center or just a point guard. They need talent,
Yeah,
and
I
he's a
agree.
talented player.
No,
So, so
I
I would
agree
say
with you.
that.
I
So
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
no, no. So what I was gonna say was, from a winners and loser perspective, it's low hanging fruit for me. San Antonio Spurs, man. San Antonio Spurs, I think knocked it out the absolute park
Yeah,
in that draft. 2 and 14. The kid from Arizona, man, even though he dressed, I don't know what he was dressed like last night,
Carter
but that,
Bryant
that kid, yeah, that kid can play.
slipped all the way
And
to
I love,
14.
I love the fact that, here's why. Because, when you see his statistical data over the last year, he scored 6 points a game, man, and
Yeah,
he wasn't even starting. The draft today is on potential, not on what a guy's done in school.
yeah,
So I just absolutely believe he's going to hit the ground running. I don't think he'll have a huge impact this season, but I absolutely think that he'll continue to come along in the second half of the year. He's going to start separating himself, man, because there's talent there. He's an ultra talented guy, and you know what I like about him though too, man. He looks the part, man.
Hmm.
He looks the part. He plays the part. He walks the part as if he knows this is his time to shine. So yeah, it's low hanging fruit for San Antonio, 2-14, and you know, and I'm not even talking about what they've already got. I'm
No,
talking about what they picked up. Just those two guys, just in its own right. To me, San Antonio won the draft.
no, I would
In
agree.
my opinion.
I would agree. I think San Antonio are winners. I think they won the draft as well. One of my losers as well is New Orleans. I think New Orleans kind of butchered this process, not because of Jeremiah Fears. I think Fears is an explosive player. I mean, a lot of people are comparing him to Westbrook. I'm not gonna say that, but if we are gonna compare him to Westbrook, he's got a better jump shot than Westbrook ever had. So I mean, he's already and
Yeah,
he I would say he's close to as athletic as Westbrook. I like Fears as a pick. Maybe not in New Orleans because of what they have going on. I mean, you traded for Jordan Poole. I know DeJounte Murray isn't going to play, so maybe that's why they took Fears. But then,
yeah, that Achilles, he won't be back probably till January.
but then here's
Probably
my other
January is what he'll look at.
my main problem, and Bill Simmons called it one of the worst trades in the last 5 years, is they got Derek Queen, right? But they traded next year's first round pick to get him. And I'm like, okay, look, Derek Queen, I know that buzzer beater in the tournament was went viral and everything else, but Jesus, you traded a first round pick for him. And let's be blunt. Let's be completely blunt. This New Orleans team is going to be at the top of the lottery again. They're not going to be good. Zion's not going to play. Jordan Poole, honestly, if Jordan Poole would have went to a better situation, I'd say, you know what? I'm buying in on Jordan Poole. I watched him a lot in Washington, and you know, a lot of people are going to call it empty calorie because he played in Washington, which is, I think, a fair point. But he's going from one team to another where it's just like, okay, I feel like whatever he does here, it's going to get invalidated because he's playing for such a bad team. I feel bad for Jordan Poole because I thought he's had some years to mature in Washington, and to see him get traded to New Orleans, it's just kind of like a shot in the chest because it's like Zion's not going to play. I'm not going to buy into that anymore. Um, DeJounte Murray's
Right,
out.
because we've done that already, right? We've done
Yeah,
that with the Zion thing multiple times, right?
now I will
How about
say
this?
with the way New Orleans drafted, I don't know if they're going to move Herb Jones and the other guy that they got, Trey Murphy. I don't think they're going to move them now. I think they're going to run with this lineup,
They need him. They
but we'll
need him.
see.
They need him now because of what they did. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of comparison. You won't recognize this guy's name, but I don't even know if you were almost born. Lonnie Baxter played at the University of Maryland. That's who Queen reminds me of. He reminds me of because he was a little dumpy. He was a really good player. He was on the national championship team that beat Indiana University, right? Lonnie Baxter. If you look him up, Google him, you see what I'm talking about. He wasn't the big, most athletic guy. He could play. He could play in the post. He wasn't quite as tall as Queen, but that's kind of who he reminds me of. And they both went to the same school. So what it tells me is New Orleans thought Derek Queen is our guy. That's the guy we believe is a top five player, and we're going to get him at 13. And I
Yeah.
think they said we'll take him. They saw something in him, not just the buzzer beater in the time in the tournament. They saw somebody saw something. And I
Yeah.
remember Joe Dumars is there now, right? They fired their GM, who was at Cleveland, and then he went on to NBA radio, and then he went to New Orleans. So Joe Dumars is there. So Joe Dumars is seeing something in this guy that says, I'm willing to give up my pick next season for him
Yikes.
now. And that's what
Yikes.
tells me. That's what tells me they're going to keep Zion. They're going to keep these other guys and see what happens. I think he's got to probably, you know, lose some baby fat because he's not very athletic as it
Mhm.
stands right now. He's not very athletic at all, but he has an opportunity. It's almost like Sticks. Sticks played at University of Maryland as well. Sticks played for the Pacers now is in Chicago, right?
Yep.
Um, and Sticks was a little what wasn't you see Sticks now and he's thinner, right? He's more NBA look. But when he was in college, he wasn't the most physically gifted looking guy as well.
Yeah.
So I would say that, yeah,
So yeah, I don't like what New Orleans did. I think trading your first round pick for and
yeah.
it doesn't make sense.
They
If
believe him, man. They
I
believe in that guy. I mean,
Well, he better be an all-star and he better average a double-double and he better do a lot of things to make up for it. New Orleans better make the playoffs. That's all they better make the play. They better be they better make the playoffs.
how can they make the playoffs?
You better make the playoffs. That's all I'm
How,
gonna say. Because that pick will be gone. I don't know if they put a protection on it. I'm not gonna pull that up at the moment. I'll pull it up on Sunday when we talk about it again, but they better make the playoffs. That's all I gotta say. Zion better play 50 games, 60 games. It better go
no,
exactly.
what do you mean 50 or 60? Zion needs to play 70 games next season. Jordan Poole needs to play like he played when he was in Golden State. Okay, everything that they got, all those players gotta have career type years.
Hmm.
Okay, Jordan
Yeah,
Poole he needs to go back and revisit his last season at Golden State. Zion needs to revisit his last season at Duke. Okay,
yeah,
for things to happen right for them. Herb Jones needs to have his inner his who's his inner um his inner what's his shucks oh Latrell Sprewell.
oh, there you
He's got to
go.
get his
That's a good pick.
from Alabama. From Alabama. I'm just on
Yeah,
Herb Jones, Alabama. That's
I
what I'm saying.
like I
So
like Sprewell. Yeah, Sprewell.
so that's what they got to do, man. If they don't do that, you're probably talking about a 30 win team.
Yeah, I mean they got to get it together for sure. Daryl, I've got my next winner and loser, and it's basically a flip because they did a trade. Winner, I'm gonna give to the Memphis Grizzlies. Right, I really like Cedric Howard. I think he's a great player. I think next to Ja, I think he's gonna be really good. I like what they did here. You get Desmond Bane's replacement. I really like this pick for the Grizzlies, and on the other half, because I'm gonna have to see him play first because this was a reach. Young Hansen drafted to the Blazers. The Grizzlies obviously made the pick and vice versa. So these two kind of flip in my mind because I mean you reached a guy from who's projected 42nd overall to 16th in the draft. So that clearly means either somebody
Right.
was going to draft him and they reached because they had a feeling other teams would take him, or they didn't think they'd get to him in the second round, so they take him now. There's a clip on Twitter of Young Hansen. Not only, he was in the crowd and he had to walk from the crowd all the way up to the podium,
I
but
saw
not only
that. I
that,
saw that.
he hugged Rich Paul of Clutch Sports as he was heading down to the stage. So obviously, Rich Paul, we could say he's one of the best in the business, and it looks like he had a little help getting Hansen over to Portland. What this tells me, Daryl, and I put it on Twitter last night. Obviously, I'm a little delusional, but I'm trying to not be as delusional as some of the Laker fans right now. I think this is a sign that they may move off from Ayton this year, and they may let Klingon start. I think maybe that's what we see Portland do, right? I still don't agree with Portland trading Anthony Simons. We haven't even talked about any of those trades that happened this offseason, but we'll get to one of them because I have that team as a winner as well, my next team. I did not like that Portland traded Simons. I know Scoot Henderson got a bit better this year, but I'm gonna have to see a lot from him this year to really buy into him. I'm gonna watch the Wizards and I'm gonna watch the Blazers this season for sure. The Wizards were actually one of my winners as well, but I haven't. I'll talk about them here in a second. As for the Blazers, I think they're gonna move off Aiton. A lot of Laker fans are overreacting, saying, why haven't we traded for Ayton? We're going to have Clint Capella as our starting center next year. I'm like, first of all, Capella's not that bad of an option, so I don't know why we're trashing Capella. If it came down to Al Horford and Brooke Lopez, yeah, I'd be fuming at that point. But we got to calm down. Like I said on Twitter, I don't think it's a big deal that the Lakers haven't made a move for a center because if you look at the prices at some of these trades last night, specifically New Orleans, they gave up a first round pick. Um, there was a lot of high price. There was a lot of high value, right? A lot of overpricing. A lot of people would say in last night's draft. So I give props to Palenka for not biting so quickly yet in this offseason. Now, I know a lot of Laker fans have a lot of PTSD from last year because we didn't make any moves last offseason. Um, and Pelinka, for some reason, loves to do his moves at the deadline. But I'm not gonna panic yet, right? I think the Lakers have needs they have to address. There's no like sitting here and waiting. And not only that, they what was I about to say? Austin Reeves, he did not accept his player
Yeah,
max today, and
22.5 million bucks a year, man. Based off of
Dorian
how he's
Finney-Smith,
played and
he
all high.
declined his option. He's going to be a free agent. So the Lakers have to make moves this year. It's not a matter of last year where Pelinka could sit on his ass. He's going to have to do something.
Right. Well, here's the thing with that, right? So with Austin Reeves, them off them he felt he was being lowball. That's $22.5 million a year. Okay. Yes, it's a raise from 13 million next season, 14 million the next season when he's got a player option. But for a guy who's got that hype along with in LA and what he's done with the support of LeBron James and with bringing on Luka, he's seeing himself as a 28 to 32 million dollar a year guy.
Yep.
That's what he's seeing, and I'm gonna tell you this. I hope he strikes gold because it'll be his last time striking gold. But when he leaves LA and the protection of Bron, he'll be exposed for the defensive fraud that he is, and he's a McTryhard.
And that's why,
And again,
well, I was just gonna say that's why I said on Twitter, I'm like, we got to trade AR. I agree with you. I think they got to move AR before they think about moving Connect. If any team asks for Connect, you got to tell them no. Not only because you burnt this kid once and you traded him and then brought him back. I don't think morally, obviously it's the NBA, it's a business, so morally speaking, they can do what they want. But morally, I don't feel like it's right of them to trade this kid again. If anything, you should keep him, trade the guy that's going to cost more, and keep the rookie dude on a rookie deal
right,
who scored
I'm gonna
almost
tell you,
40 points last season just shooting three balls against Utah. Granted, it's against
Dalton
Utah, but
Connect,
still.
Dalton Connect is not much of a dip with Austin Reeves. You got to
No,
give
not at
the
all.
guy an opportunity to play. So what the Lakers got to strike on the Austin Reeves sweepstakes and find a sucker to take him
Now, I
because
would.
that's going to give them an opportunity to grow Dalton Connect. And then the bigger thing is after making that move, your next step obviously is finding someone to man the middle.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with Reeves. I could see Pelinka moving him at the deadline and not this offseason, but I already said you should really call Portland, say AR for Aiden. Obviously, do whatever you got to do to make the money right in the picks. I don't care about that. But if we're talking about the base of the trade, I think AR for Aiden makes the most sense, right? I mean,
Well, the problem with that though is, man, they meaning Portland, they don't need another 6'4" guy. They don't need another 6'4" guy, and that's the challenge for the Lakers with Portland. You say, well, hey, here we go, we got this, we got this, but as I look at it, 'cause I'm pulling it up now, I just don't see Portland having that need. Yeah, they got rid of Anthony Simons. You got to find out if Holiday is going to stay, right?
yeah.
Is Holiday going to stay, or is he going to, or is he going to get moved again? You know, the other thing is with Portland, if you ever remember, Portland, they signed Jeremy Grant a year ago to a 5-year deal. He's got 32 million coming up this season, 34 the next, and 36 the next for a player option. That's a player option. You also have, like I said, Simons came off the books, but does Holiday stay, right?
Yeah.
That's the question. Scoot Henderson, he's your point guard, right?
Well,
Then you look at the rest of the team. The rest of
Sharp,
the team is not very strong. You got Shaden
Sharp.
Sharp. He's got a 8 million next year and 11 million after that. So I don't know that AR would move the needle for Portland. Well, I don't see Portland saying, "Oh wow, this is going to be a guy we need." I don't see that. Could I be
Uh,
wrong? Of course I could be, but
there's
just looking
always
at their
there,
roster, I don't see it.
there's always a sucker, and that's kind of what I was saying
But
when I
they
was
got to
talking.
find someone in the East. They got to find
Well,
someone in the East to
I
get him.
think it just looks
So
like.
who hasn't seen him as much? You know what I'm
So
saying?
I've seen people say Detroit, and I'm like, Detroit's not giving up Duran. I'm sorry, people got to let that go. I've seen that. Like
And
that's
man,
when we're getting
Detroit,
ridiculous. I think another guy on Portland, if it's not Aiton, it could be Robert Williams, right? Is that his name, Robert Williams?
yeah, yeah,
Unless
yeah.
he's
He
a
was
free
at
agent.
Boston. He had got he had got injured, and he was in that trade over the season when Holiday was traded the first time.
Hmm.
Robert Williams is at I saw him earlier. Let's see him. Oh, that's Philly. That's no wonder.
I
That's
think
not Portland. I was Philly. I was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
no, you're good. I think with Robert, the biggest concern with him is obviously health. So same thing as Mark Williams there for sure.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, Williams, he's been hurt for a minute now. That's why
Yeah.
Boston got off him. He was an athletic guy, but he just couldn't stay healthy. He's going into his last year at $13 million next year.
So I
Next year
mean,
is the last year,
you're giving up
13 million.
expiring deals for expiring deals. So I mean, and even Aiton I think is expiring too. But I don't
Yeah,
know.
he's got 35 million and he's done as well. That was that
Well,
offer that the Pacers signed to that offer sheet three
yeah,
years ago.
yep.
When they offered him up. Yeah.
So we'll have to see what happens. It's something I'm just curious at with Portland. You've got Klingon, you've got Robert Williams, you've got Aiton, you got all these, and now you've got this the dude from Japan or China, wherever. You get what I'm saying? They've got all these
You
centers.
know,
Some of them are going to get moved. They're not going to keep four centers on their roster. There's no possible way they do.
this may sound crazy, man, but I like the Chinese center, man.
No, I'm
He's
not
a
saying he's
developmental
bad.
guy.
I just think it's
Here's
a
why I
reach.
say, well, here's the thing. You got to think about this. If you peg the guy as the guy you want, and you don't think he's going to be around on the next term, you got to go get him.
Yeah.
And what I've seen in the guy from the highlight reels I'm looking online today, I see an athletic Chinese player. He's not Yao Ming.
There you go.
He's not the kid from Purdue in Memphis.
Yeah.
This guy, he's got a lot of get up and down. He's got a nice second jump. So why not say this? Why not keep Aiden? Right? He's in his last year.
Hmm.
Have the Chinese player back him up
What
and
about
get
Klingon?
meaningful minutes. Well, here's what I'm saying. Remember, I just said you reached on a guy. You thought he was
Hmm.
going to be a second. You already talked about it being a second round pick, and it turned out you got him in the first round. He's got to play. You
Yeah,
put
that's
a
true.
lot of equity. You put a lot of equity in this guy, right? And I'm not saying clean, a bad player or anything like that. I'm just saying from what you put, the amount of resource that you put into this guy. And yes, they took a lot of non-positive feedback, to keep, to get this guy.
Yeah.
So there's no reason why not to put him out there. Klingon's cheap, man. He
Yeah.
he's got 7 million next year, 7 the next year, 9 the next, and 13 the next. He ain't going anywhere. He doesn't have a player option until after next year.
Hmm.
I'm sorry, I'm lying. It's a team option after next year and next year. And then the fourth year is a player option. He ain't going anywhere.
Yeah. No,
So, and
I
he's cheap. Think about this. Think about this. Cleveland, he's going to average 14, 36. He's going to average just under $9 million a year, man, for the next 4 years.
who Klingon?
Hey, man, that's a bargain basement deal.
Yeah.
So you can sit him, and guess what's going to happen to the trade deadline? That's the guy you look to move. Why? Because of what you have with him with his contract.
Yeah.
That's why I think that again, that's what I would think if I'm Portland. I mean, listen, Portland isn't going to all of a sudden turn into Cleveland of last year. They're not going to be a one seed in the West. They're going to probably be at best a play-in team at best.
And to go back, I like Portland. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if Portland makes the plan this year. I'm curious to see what they do, and then I'll kind of have a full thought on that. I'll go back to the Lakers if we have time. We have under 10 minutes here in the segment. But to me, the Lakers, like I said, I think they have to make moves with the player they drafted tonight, Adu Thero. I don't know if I said that right. When we come back Sunday, I'll have the name right. They drafted a really good forward, right? He's a big forward. It signals to me there's going to be change coming, whether people want to, Laker fans want to overreact or not. So that's my message to Laker fans. Don't overreact. The offseason just started. I actually give props to Pelinka for not reaching or, overpaying tonight because he feels like he has to. I think he got time to figure this out because, like I said, I wouldn't mind Horford or Lopez off the bench. They can't be the starting center though, or you're going to have the same result you
Yeah.
did in the first round. They got to get a center, but I don't know why we're bashing Clint Capella. I think Capella would be a solid starting center for this
He's a
Lakers
nice rim
roster.
runner. He's a nice rim runner. You
Exact.
don't need him to score 20 points a game, man.
No.
He's an
Yeah.
athletic guy. And granted, he's going to miss his free throws and he's going to be a liability from you from a focus perspective. But oh well. What you
Yeah.
want him to do is block some shots and run the court.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, what's the problem?
No, I agree.
You know?
My other winners, because I want to get as through many teams as possible.
Okay.
I'm gonna do two. I'm gonna say Washington and I'm gonna say Chicago. I actually almost made Washington a loser, but I'm like, you know what? They made up for trading away Jordan Poole. I was really mad when they traded Poole. I was like, you got Poole, you got Sar. And I think Daryl, we were all under the impression this team was gonna land Ace Bailey. And I think we both agreed with that.
I would have bet money. I would have bet money that they were going to Ace
Boy, I
Bailey.
would have bet a lot of money they would have got Bailey. But once again, I give props to Danny Ainge just saying, you know what? I don't care if you don't like being here. We're going to draft you anyways. So I give props to Utah, but I give props to Washington, right? Because, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say they scrambled because obviously you have a plan A, you got a plan B and stuff like that. But they definitely had to pivot. So let's say that, right? They had to pivot. You don't
Yeah.
get Ace Bailey. I almost made them losers. And the reason I almost did it was because they traded Walter Clayton to Utah. I would have to look to see what they got back, but I don't mind that they did that, right? I think Trey Johnson, who they picked, he reminds me a lot of looks like he could be a catch and shoot three guy, but he's very athletic too. If he can develop his playmaking, I think him, Koulibaly, Bub Carrington, who will now be the new starting point guard, who I completely forgot was on the roster. So that's why I've kind of let go of the Jordan Poole trade. I
Yeah.
really like Utah, Daryl, or not Utah. I really like Washington,
Washington.
Daryl, and I think call me crazy if Miami doesn't do anything, Chicago stays the same. I could see the Washington Wizards in this weakened Eastern Conference. They may have a shot at a play-in spot next season. I am fully of the belief, not only Washington, if Chicago or Miami can get Jonathan Kuminga in a sign and trade deal, I think they could make the plan as well. I think Chicago had a very good draft as well. I like the kid that they took. I can't remember his name, the kid out of France. I like him next to
Oh yeah.
Bucelis. I like what Chicago's doing, drafting these foreigners and seeing how they go. Now it looks like they're going to trade Lonzo or Kobe White or both. I think they should keep
I would
Kobe.
say I would
I
say Lonzo. If they decline that deal with Orlando for Kobe, for all those players and picks, I
yeah,
would say they're looking to build around Kobe. I
yeah,
think Kobe is their centerpiece in Chicago, and I think you work from there. You work from unfortunately for the outside in, right?
mhm.
Because of him being a two-way guard, and he's two-way, but he can defend as well too. By the way.
I
I mean,
think Chicago.
he's not Gary Payton lockdown, but he can
Yeah,
defend.
I think Chicago's got something there. But my bigger winner out of the two is definitely going to go to Washington. I think Trey Johnson's really good. I haven't looked at the second round too much, but I like what Washington has in a roster format, which is why I'm making them the winners, right? I think Bub Carrington's going to be solid. I think Washington overall, I'm really infatuated with this Wizards team. I think the one thing I really don't know is who their point guard would be. But I've got some people I'm going to talk to on
Yeah,
Twitter that are more Wizards fans than I am. But I like Sar, I like Carrington, I've always liked Koulibaly, and I like Trey Johnson as well. I think they did a good job adjusting after the Jazz took their guy. I thought Jeremiah Fears was going to maybe be the pick. Him or Johnson would have been fine, but I think they took the right guy here. I think Trey Johnson was the right pick. Obviously, I think he'll either start or Koulibaly will start, but either way, I really like what Washington did. They may make the play in.
don't sleep on this name. So remember I was telling you about I was at the Pacer game, they were playing the Washington Bullets, and I talked about their length that they had, and it was
Yeah.
kid AJ Johnson. He looks about 16 years
Yes.
old.
Good play.
AJ
Yeah.
Johnson
Good
is six
point.
five. He's got good length, and he's only going to get better. He's on the cheap right now. He's at 2.7 this this last year, 3.3 million this year, 3.33 the next, 5.4 the next, and then 8.5 in 28-29 with the team option, with the player option. So I don't be surprised. AJ Johnson, he played well because they took Poole out of the game because they were tanking. He played well. And what I was impressed with him was his length as well.
Yeah.
What Washington has done is they've drafted length. They've got length and athleticism. Don't be surprised if AJ Johnson winds up being their starting guard. If not, he's not their starting point guard. If they don't make another move, or he has meaningful minutes on a night in, night out basis. Look for AJ Johnson. The guy looks 16 years old, man. Literally, he looks in person 16 years old.
I think Bub Carrington will get the start. I completely forgot about AJ Johnson, but that was a great name as well. I think Bub Carrington will start. It looks like that's what's going to happen based off real Wizards fans on Twitter. It looks like they think Bub Carrington will start, so I will go with that as well.
Yeah. Fair enough. I just didn't like him better than I like the kid.
No, you're fair. Yeah, I think Bub pretty much backed Jordan Poole last year, so I think that's why.
Granted, they know more about Washington, Bullets than I do. I'm just saying from the game I saw from courtside.
Yep.
Man, I like that kid, man. I liked him a lot.
And then I have two teams. Well, actually, the other loser I have is Toronto. I didn't like the Colin Murray Boyles pick. I really haven't been that fond of Boyles throughout this whole draft process. So I think it was really going to depend on who took him, and it turned out to be Toronto. I guess it's an okay fit because they kind of needed they needed that position. But I just kind of was like, okay, instead of saying loser, I'm gonna put them in the middle because I have two other teams that I have in the middle. We've actually got a minute left, so you know what, Daryl?
Let me throw this.
Throw that in real quick,
and then they've got Grady Dick, R.J. Barrett, Scotty Barnes, and Brandon Ingram all play the same damn position as Colin Murray. That was an absolute waste to pick.
Yeah, so we will. I think what we'll do is on Sunday, not only will we have Ramon here, we'll go through every pick and we'll give a grade and we'll talk about some more teams. And I'll also talk about the two teams that I had in the middle, not winners or a loser. But that's going to do it, folks. We wanted to get on here and record after the first two rounds. Thank you for joining us. We will see you guys on Sunday for more of the Game Time Podcast.